What's up, YouTube? My other video got deleted, so I guess I'll make a replacement video. I was cleaning out my cell phone because sometimes when you do stuff with your phone, it might accidentally delete a video. So, like, I had already done a video like maybe 4 hours ago. So, I'm gonna do this video. This one's gonna be. What should we call this one? I guess we're gonna call this another concept video that's probably gonna go into tomorrow's video. So I guess it's a perfect setup for it, because it's gonna make you think. A lot of these new groundbreaking videos, these new concept videos I've been making, are videos that other YouTubers probably could have made into a video but wasn't sure about, and then videos that they stay away from because they don't know how to approach it. So I guess I'm gonna make the video. I'm gonna call this one "Sex Game, Books versus Television and Film." Now you probably might be asking yourself, why am I turning it into a video? Because I've noticed this trend lately. I've noticed that a lot of women that I be flirting with at my jobs, they like to read books. And I've noticed back when I was in high school and college, a lot of the girls I was messing with, they were into the rap videos and, movies with, popular actors that we see today. And it's like a switch. Like most guys, when they want to talk a social conversation, a lot of guys will be like, well, let me go ahead and take a movie or a television show and see if that get the woman interested. And guess what? She'd be like, I don't watch television, I don't watch film, I like to read books. Remember those Twilight books? Well, you got girls that'll read The Hunger Games, Twilight. Before Vampire Diaries became a television show, it was a book. I know because when I was in college, they had all these books. And when I went to the bookstore, I saw a whole lot of these books. And it got me wondering, thinking, this has been going on for the past 8 or 9 years, that every time they put some stuff on television and I name a TV show or a movie, they be like, well, I don't watch that type of stuff. Now, some guys might say don't be fooled by that, because even though women may not watch television, and I get it, because if you go to school and you work, you don't have time to come home and watch a movie or television shows. Like tomorrow's video, when I go to the Grove, I'm going to make that video called Sex Game, I Missed the 1980s and 1990s versus the 2000s and the late 2000s of television and film, and where Hollywood has gone. Other people have kind of made their video about it, and I thought, you know what? I like filmmaking, and I do filmmaking with YouTube. Obviously, you're watching the channel. And I thought, the one subject that I have not talked about, the one thing that I have not alluded to, and I had a friend in college that told me, you got to make the video, man. You got to make the video. I say, I can't just make a video from out of thin air. I got to make the video make sense. It's got to sound logic. It's got to make sense when people see it. And they got to be able to vibe to the video. Like, a lot of women read books, and a lot of the women tell me, well, I don't know what TV show that is. And whenever I talk about shows from the 90s, because they remember the show when they were old enough, like, my first job, I had called this one girl Teenage Buffy number 2. And a lot of the people at the job was like, why you keep calling her Teenage Buffy number 2? I said, because she looked like the actress Michelle Gellar, who played Buffy Summers from the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And it got another girl thinking, you know what? I got Netflix. I'm going to go watch all the seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer just because I said it. It was her nickname, but she looked like the actress. So it was like paying her a nice compliment. And a lot of the girls would read books, and sometimes I would come in the break room confused and trying to figure out what was going on. They would be reading these books and talking about characters from books, and I would always say television or film. Like back in 2017 when I went to Bar Sinister in Hollywood, which is a golf club, I met a girl that was into wrestling, which I thought was funny because out of all the girls I met, And I mean this, out of all the women I've met, junior high, high school, college, they all hated professional wrestling. The only time I had a black girl that was into wrestling was only because of The Rock. You know, if The Rock wasn't wrestling, she weren't watching wrestling. You know, if Dwayne The Rock Johnson ain't on Monday Night Raw, he ain't on SmackDown, or he ain't wrestling nobody, she wouldn't watch wrestling. And I remember because I'm a huge, big wrestling fan. And tomorrow will be the premiere launch of my new YouTube channel. That's all it's going to talk about is just professional wrestling. It's going to talk about some wrestling. It's going to talk about some basketball, football, you know, on that channel. Because I'm a huge wrestling fan. Nothing out of the ordinary. But yeah, it got me thinking. A lot of women told me they rather read books for 6 to 8 hours when they're not at work or at school than to waste their time and energy looking at movies and TV shows that ain't worth nothing. Like, you look at some of these big movie franchises that I've been a fan of, like the Fast and Furious movies. I love them. I love all the Fast and Furious movies. There are some people who race cars in the 1990s and the 2000s, and those people just happened to race cars, and when they saw a movie that it was about racing cars, they became a fan of the movie. So I like Fast and Furious. Then you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then you look at the movies of DC Comics and how people rip into those movies for not being like the book counterpart. Like, when I was in college, the debate was, what's better, the Harry Potter books or the Harry Potter films? Now, I've read the books and I've seen the first 4 movies of Harry Potter. Now, there's like at least 7 to 8 films of Harry Potter, but I've read 4 books and seen the 4 movies before they decided, let's make a 5, a 6, a 7, and an 8. Let's make a spin-off of Harry Potter. So I had read the books. I read the Vampire Diary books before I even made it into a television series. Same thing with True Blood. True Blood was a book before they made True Blood into a television series. So all the stuff that I'm a huge fan of, it was once a book before they made it into a television or film adoption. And a lot of women told me the only time they'll ever watch a movie or a TV show is if it's based off a book. Like, you look at 50 Shades of Grey. I remember that because my mom had ordered all 3 books, and my mom read those 3 books in 4.5 months. And my mom told me she would rather read books than to waste all her time and money going to a movie theater, and it's loud, it's crowded, people don't know what they want, people stand in line for 45 minutes, can't decide if they want pizza or a hamburger or a popcorn, or they don't know what they want to do when they come to the movies. So a lot of the books that I read, they get made into movies and television shows. Like, every single one of them that I watched, I read them into a book before they got made into a movie or a television show. And I hear some guys talk about it. Like, I'll walk up to some guys and say, do you know who Future is? Or do you know who 2 Chainz is? And they look at me like, 2 Chainz? Like, you mean put 2 Chainz together? And I'm like, the rapper 2 Chainz. Bruh, I don't watch rap. I read books. I read Lord of the Rings. I read Harry Potter. But I don't listen to Wiz Khalifa or 2 Chainz or Future. And sometimes I do that as a social experiment. Like, I know you don't know who 2 Chainz is, Wiz Khalifa, or Future, or Rick Ross. But sometimes you might want to meet somebody that don't follow a lot of the TV shows, the movies, or the rap music, and they're into literature. Like, my best friend, well, I would say friend, but when I first met him, as I told him he looked like Shawn Michaels, the professional wrestler, and he would always look at me with his skateboard and his long hair and say, man, when you going to show me a picture of Shawn Michaels? Before our store closed and then it reopened. And he told me he would rather read books than to waste his time and money looking at all these movies and TV shows. Like, he told me his honest opinion why he don't watch a lot of the Marvel Cinematic movies, because he say they don't do proper representation of all the comic book characters. Like he said, when you look at those Iron Man films, yeah, you may like the Iron Man films because it's got action and excitement and storytelling, but some of the elements from those films are missing because they're not, they don't take the comic book elements and inject them into the movies. And then you look at some of these newer incarnations like Hellboy. Yeah, Hellboy was a comic book, and then they got made into movies. Same thing with the Ninja Turtles, the Power Rangers, and a lot of times people say the books are just far better than the movies and the television shows. Same thing with the animes. I love Dragon Ball Z. It's no secret. You can catch me on camera on my old YouTube channel just wearing Dragon Ball Z shirts, the Dragon Ball Z hat. And I've heard some people tell me the anime adaptation of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super is far much better than the anime. Now, I choose the anime over the book sometimes because I love how the anime always show their transformations with character and emotion, whereas the book, you can't get the emotion of Vegeta turning Super Saiyan and being furious with wanting to be better than Goku. You can't get that larger than life personality like Gohan or Piccolo from the book adaptation unless you watch the anime. Where the book, yeah, you get proper representation. Like when it comes to the Harry Potters and the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, like the movies, I would say for me, the Lord of the Rings movies and the Lord of the Rings books, they're on the same competitive level. Now, the Hobbit movies that are a spinoff of Lord of the Rings, I would say the Hobbit books are better than the Hobbit movies. Like, I've seen all 3 films of Lord of the Rings. I've seen all 3 films of the Hobbits. And I agree that the books of the Hobbits is much better than the movies. Hunger Game. I've seen all the Hunger Game movies. And I agree. The Hunger Game books is better than the Hunger Game movies. Same thing with Divergent. I've seen all the Divergent movies. And I agree, the books are better than the Divergent movies. I've even went as far as to see the Fifth Wave. They made those in the 4 books. And the books are better than the 2 movies. So all the stuff that I've seen in television and film, I've read them all at books. And became a fan of them. So this is just a quick YouTube video because I'm testing out my camera phone.